Welcome to today's Tea Time audio story. It's time to slow down, take a deep breath, and enjoy a moment just for you. As you sip your favorite tea, let your mind drift into the world of stories, where imagination comes alive and anything is possible. Listening to audio stories isn't just entertaining, it's also a wonderful way to relax, spark creativity, and improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way. Stories have the power to transport us to far-off places, introduce us to new characters, and remind us of life's little lessons. So whether you're here to unwind, learn something new, or simply enjoy a quiet escape, this is your time. Get comfortable, let your worries melt away, and allow today's story to take you on a journey. Let the magic begin. The summer of 1998 was like any other in the small town of Willowbrook, golden sunlight filtering through the tall oak trees, the distant laughter of children playing, and the scent of fresh-cut grass lingering in the warm air. The neighborhood buzzed with life, as children rode their bikes up and down the quiet streets, their voices carrying through the warm breeze. Front porches were adorned with hanging flower baskets, and the ice cream truck made its rounds, playing its familiar tune. But for two young souls, that summer was the beginning of something extraordinary. Sophia Carter and Ethan Reynolds were born just a few months apart, raised in neighboring houses on Maple Street. Their families had known each other for years, their parents sharing backyard barbecues, holiday dinners, and the occasional game night. The Carters were a warm and lively bunch, always filling their home with laughter and music. Sophia, the youngest of three siblings, had a spirit as wild as her curly auburn hair. Her mother, Mrs. Carter, was a beloved school teacher with a gentle yet firm demeanor, her voice always carrying a soothing, nurturing tone. Mr. Carter, a skilled carpenter, spent his weekends crafting wooden toys for his children, filling their backyard with seesaws, tree swings, and miniature forts. Sophia's older brothers, Liam and Daniel, were her biggest protectors and occasional troublemakers, often dragging her into playful mischief. The Reynolds family, on the other hand, was smaller but just as close-knit. Ethan, an only child, was raised by his father, a dedicated firefighter who carried both strength and kindness in his every word and action. His grandmother, Nana Rose, had moved in after Ethan's mother passed away when he was a baby. With her gentle touch and endless patience, she was the heart of their home, always baking fresh cookies or sewing little trinkets for Ethan. Their house had an inviting warmth, filled with the scent of cinnamon and old books, and Ethan found comfort in the quiet steadiness of his small but loving family. One warm evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the Carter and Reynolds families gathered in the Carters' backyard for a casual barbecue. The scent of sizzling burgers filled the air, mingling with the sweet aroma of Mrs. Carter's homemade lemonade. Laughter echoed from the patio as Mr. Reynolds stood by the grill, expertly flipping patties while Mr. Carter told one of his famous stories, hands gesturing wildly. "I swear, if you let this man talk any longer, he'll have us believing he once wrestled a bear," Mrs. Carter teased, nudging her husband playfully. Mr. Carter chuckled. Now, let me have my moment. Besides, the kids love my stories." Ethan's father smirked. "Well, at least this time, it's a bear and not the legendary two-headed trout." The adults laughed, clinking their glasses together in a toast to friendship. Nana Rose watched with a gentle smile, enjoying the scene as she rocked in the wicker chair on the porch. Meanwhile, Sophia and Ethan sat on the grass nearby, nibbling on their burgers and sharing stories of their own. One day, Sophia declared, "I'm going to travel the world and see everything. Paris, Egypt, maybe even the North Pole." Ethan adjusted his glasses, considering her words. "I think I'd like to go to space," he mused. "Imagine floating in zero gravity and looking down at the Earth." Sophia wrinkled her nose. "That sounds scary." He grinned. Not if you have the right kind of spaceship. Maybe I'll build one and take you with me. She beamed. Promise. Promise, Ethan said, holding out his pinky. Without hesitation, Sophia wrapped hers around his, sealing their childhood pact under the twinkling backyard lights. It was a scorching July afternoon when Sophia and Ethan officially met for the first time. She was 6, he was 7. The sun blazed high in the sky, making the pavement hot enough to fry an egg. The local park was alive with the sounds of summer, sprinklers hissing, cicadas humming, and children shrieking with delight as they ran through the grass. Sophia had just received a brand new purple kite for her birthday, and she was determined to make it soar. She gripped the string tightly, her little feet kicking up dust as she ran across the field. But no matter how fast she ran or how high she tossed it, the kite refused to take flight. Frustrated, she let out an exasperated sigh and flopped onto the grass, scowling at the stubborn thing beside her. That was when she noticed a boy watching her from a few feet away. He was tall for his age, with sandy brown hair that fell messily over his forehead and bright hazel eyes behind thick-rimmed glasses. He was holding a bright red kite of his own, its string neatly wound around his fingers. After a moment of hesitation, he took a step closer. "You're doing it all wrong," he said confidently, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Sophia narrowed her eyes at him. "I'm not." "Are too," Ethan replied with a knowing grin. "You have to wait for the wind to catch it first." She crossed her arms. "And how do you know?" "My dad taught me," he said, kneeling beside her. "Here, let me show you." Reluctantly, she handed him the kite. Ethan carefully adjusted the string, tilting the frame at just the right angle. He waited, watching the trees sway for the perfect gust of wind, and then, with a swift motion, he released it. The kite shot up into the sky, catching the sunlight as it danced against the blue canvas above. Sophia gasped in amazement. "Wow! How'd you do that?" Ethan shrugged, his grin widening. "It's all about timing. And maybe a little luck." From that moment on, they were inseparable. Every afternoon, they played together in the park, built forts out of blankets in their living rooms, and raced their bikes down the quiet streets of their neighborhood. Sophia's adventurous spirit balanced Ethan's cautious nature, and in return, his calm demeanor kept her out of trouble. They swapped peanut butter sandwiches at lunch, whispered secrets under the old willow tree in the park, and dreamed about all the places they'd go when they grew up. One late afternoon, after a long day of playing, they sat beneath the big oak tree in the park, their backs pressed against the rough bark. The golden glow of the setting sun bathed the town in a soft light. Sophia hugged her knees to her chest and turned to Ethan. "Do you think we'll always be friends?" she asked. Ethan tilted his head, considering the question. "Yeah, I think so." She smiled, satisfied with his answer. "Good. Because I think you're my best friend." Ethan adjusted his glasses, a small smile tugging at his lips. "You're my best friend too." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fireflies begin to flicker in the evening air. Neither of them knew it then, but the foundation of a love story had already been set. It was written in the way they laughed together, in the way they looked out for one another, and in the unspoken promise that, no matter what, they would always be there. And so, their story began. Thank you for joining today's Tea Time story. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of imagination and storytelling. Whether it made you smile, sparked a new thought, or simply gave you a moment to relax, we're grateful to have shared this time with you. Thank you for listening and being part of our story time. Keep dreaming, keep imagining, and we'll see you again for another magical tale soon. Until next time, take care and happy listening.